Hey, Apex Predator with you here, and I'd like to welcome you back now to episode 5. And this right behind me is a little bit of a hint of what we have going on today. As you hopefully saw in the intro, we did just finish upgrading all 4 of these boilers to large advanced boilers. I don't believe we really need to modify anything. I think everything will be okay. But we'll see when we get the demand for more steam and see just how quickly it fills up. I remember upgrading these in my single player world and it made a dramatic increase. And in between the episodes I did set up a little bit more processing here, one notably for red garnet, sapphire, and for ruby. This gives us chromium, which is going to help propel us to stainless steel, although that's not my focus this episode. Now that we have a fair amount of aluminum starting to stockpile, trying to get this set up, definitely ate through a bunch of aluminum, so I set up some more of those sub-processes and we were able to get everything loaded up with a buffer. And that brings me to this. This is a new oil drilling rig, and we are going to use this for, you guessed it, black gold. I've got 4 steam turbines here in the back I still need to route some steam to, and then we just need to start crafting the aluminum drills. Use our little trick that I learned earlier, and I actually have the regular one bookmarked so we don't have to sit here and wait for it to pop up. Make sure we grab a downgrade for it. And now I just need to somehow get behind there so that I can access the pipes. And we can hear it start up right away. I love that. There's some drills, and we'll come back in a minute once we have a full stack. And with both a stack in our hotbar and the drawer full, I think it's time to fire this thing up. I believe all we need to do is drop the stack inside, and indeed we can hear it start up. And of course this is not going to transmit the fluid. I was trying to make it look cool, but we'll have to go with something different. And this should do it. You can now see oil starting to build up in the large tank. I'm going to grab a bucket of it to complete the quest, which should open up this branch over here, and this is going to require quite some work. And a little while later, one of my favorite sayings, we have a couple distilleries set up. All I need to do is add in these large tank hatches, but as you can see, isn't that weird? I have them 4 tall, but it's only showing me a 3 tall. You actually have to go in here to the GUI and set your width, height, and depth. For us, we do have a width of 3 and a depth of 3, we just need to up the height to 4. Now I believe I have everything else already wired. The steam turbines have steam, the machines are charged, we just need to enable the fluid input. And in no time we should start to see each respective fluid starting to be deposited into the tank. I am going to turn off the fluid auto extraction for just a moment so we can collect all of the quests, which is actually going to make it a little bit annoying because you can't automatically put a bucket into here. You're going to have to make a tank. Actually, we already have one. We'll have to drop a tank here, add the fluid back in, and fluid pipe it back out into the main tank. And now we can see the next step, which is going to be desulfurizing. Sadly, we're going to need lots of hydrogen, and for some reason you can't actually click the bucket to see it. But yeah, we're going to need lots of hydrogen for this, so let me get some electrolyzers set up and we'll be well on our way. And now with the new set of electrolyzers being fed water underneath with an electric pump, we have the hydrogen being deposited inside of this large tank, And that in turn gets sent all the way over here to our next set of processing, I guess you could say. So we have 3 large tanks here, one for light fuel, heavy fuel, and naphtha. All I need to do now is make an ender tank. That way we can deposit the sulfuric acid and have it somewhere else in another location of the base, and enable fluid auto output to start filling these tanks. I'm hoping that it deposits the light fuel and not the sulfuric acid, which it looks like it did. Great. So in theory that should do the same for all of these. Wonderful. Go ahead and label our tanks here with some runes. And now we'll go and put it where it needs to be. And one of my favorite parts of this is watching these pipes come alive with fluid. Now I think we just need to add the conjunction here, and we'll start seeing some sulfuric acid in our ender tank. Awesome. Now after getting our sulfuric acid storage situated, we can go ahead and claim all of these quests. And re-enable fluid auto output. And now, with the new room built and ready for operation, we are going to start working on polyethylene. It's going to go right here in this little cube behind us. Oh, and real quick, I need to fix this iron issue that I'm having, because it stopped my steel production, but I had too large of an upgrade down here on this iron drawer, so we weren't getting any more iron dust. So for now, I have this kind of jury-rigged. I'm going to get probably half of these ingots from the combination of the two, half macerated back down into dust, and as we can see, it's kind of already automatically being put into the EBF so that we can get steel back up and running. And that should be plenty of steel to make this steel tank. There we go. And now it's just time to configure all of the machines up above. Now we just need to set up 2 ender tanks specifically for, I was going to say, I hope that's not soldering alloy, naphtha. We now have an ender tank full. Now we just need to figure out how to set it up over here to incorporate into our polyethylene setup. And I'm honestly thinking we might just cheese it here. I should fire up that chemical reactor to get some steam cracked naphtha. And I did just realize I had the wrong machine here in the middle. We need a distillery. And we should be able to fluid auto extract that into said distillery, lock its input, and lock its output, which is very important in the distillery, because using one fluid you can get multiple different types, and this is very important until you unlock the distillation tower, which gives you access to all of them. Now we have the okay, this is the 3rd time I'm trying to take this. Now we have the distillery active. It is time to push all of this ethylene into the chemical reactor to finally produce polyethylene. So we'll fluid auto extract from there, lock its input, and to get polyethylene we have 2 different choices. We can roll chromium or lead, and since we have a ton of lead, I think we're just gonna make an unpacker and start forcing in some tiny dust. I'll just run some item pipes all the way back here. Good thing I have these automated, and I went too far. Go ahead and lock our input slots here, and connect up an item pipe. And we can see and hear it running and making lead tiny dust. All we should need to do now is grab some of that tiny dust, make sure it is input here into the machine. We'll even adjust the item input to maybe 2 recipes worth. And it turns out I did need to run the item pipe all the way back here. That is my bad. And we'll just enable this on blacklist mode, and we should start to see polyethylene. Finally. That actually looks really cool. Let me patch this hole up. At any moment now, hopefully we see that deposit into the tank. Yes, indeed we do. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the start to overclocking. The real way, that is. Oh yeah, and we can't forget about the quests. I already did the other ones off screen, I know. And looky what that has unlocked access to. Overclock upgrades. Really not too terrible of a recipe, and you guessed it, we're going to automate these pretty much right away. So I've got the overclock upgrades automated now, but I just ran across an interesting issue. Especially right now, for some reason, doesn't look like we're getting any water into the boiler. And I'm really glad they don't explode, because that could be a massive problem. But it seems like it can't keep up with all three of these at the same time. Or all four of these, rather. So, while they're full and the boilers are off, I've got some work to do down here. And I think something like this, 2 electric water pumps being fed with the steam directly being made, I think that'll be plenty, especially with how much water these things actually output. So yeah, with that little problem fixed, we're making a lot more steam. And looks like I forgot to lock a drawer that now has over 10,000 lead dust. I don't like that for us at all. We still have 13,000 dust over here. Well, 10 years later, I have started working on the stainless steel process. Everything you see in here, minus this polyethylene setup that we did earlier, is related to stainless steel. I have this first large tank here for chlorine. I have the wrong way. The second steel tank for hydrochloric acid. And then behind here I have either the manganese process, yeah, I think that one is manganese, and then over here I have the chromium process. So I've been working on getting these EBFs set up, as well as the vacuum freezer, and I figured I would go ahead and start recording a little bit of what I'm doing right now. Should just need to add in our final heat-proof casing, which will finish off these multi-blocks. And I need to set the inputs for this machine here. Now, I did just learn a trick, thank you to a comment I received on my last video. If you're already inside the machine that you want to lock a recipe for, if you hover over and control-click, it will actually lock all of the slots for you and keep the amounts locked to what you had them set to. This is going to help us a lot moving forward, and is even better than my little assembler trick or whatever recipe trick I figured out last time. Now we'll just lock our item input hatches for the EBFs. Now I should just need to add in this item pipe here, and maybe our mixers will come alive, granted we have all of the materials requested, or required, that is. Actually, thinking twice, I need to enable the input filter on here. And now we can hear, at least I thought I heard one of them fire up. Oh, we need nickel dust now. Okay, that could require some reworking. We also, it appears, need to add an item pipe or configure an item pipe on the back of here. Shift right click. That allows us to attach it without actually seeing the backside. And I think all I need to do is set this to extract on a blacklist. Now, as far as nickel goes, this could require a little bit of work here. That's a lot of excess nickel ingots that we have. So what we'll do is detach this from the main network. We'll break this nickel barrel for the time being. Swap it with our ingot barrel, and I'm probably gonna have to relock this to nickel ingots. And we can see right away our stainless steel quest gets completed. That's cool. And we'll have to deal with the first 128 or so getting sucked into this furnace, but the rest of it will create a stockpile in this drawer, and then we'll have some nickel dust. Now we should be able to change the filters on these input hatches to blacklist, since they are locked with stainless steel dust. And I think that means we should see both the EBFs start up and produce some hot stainless steel ingots. Come into our quest book here, which we can see starts to unlock some of the HV tabs. And of course, we're going to need to start working on the vacuum freezer. 4 macerators from a quest reward. That is wonderful. So I took a little break from doing progression so that I could work a little bit more on Spectrum, and I finally figured out why we weren't finding shooting stars. You actually have to make brown pigment in order to unlock the advancement. So now we should be able to peer into the night sky, and I don't like the way this looks. And maybe here soon we'll see a shooting star. If we don't get murdered alive by phantoms. I hate these stupid mobs. And Ryan's asking us if they are noticeable. Yes, they are. However, nighttime is now over, which means we are not going to find one. Now, in the meantime, while we wait for another night, I've been wanting to build this cinder hearth here. However, I've had the hardest time trying to figure out how to unlock the recipe. It turns out after examining the Discord that we're going to need to get the color picker first, which shouldn't be too hard of a craft. So we'll right click with the paintbrush, which has given us the quest completed, and that should have in fact unlocked the cinder hearth. It did not. You know what, I bet we have to place it down first. And we still don't have it unlocked. Wonderful. Now it does look like it opened up another quest for ink flasks. I'm gonna assume we need that one as well. And right away we get the advancement, a new form of energy. And as we can see up here in the corner, we unlock a bunch of recipes, including the cinder hearth, finally. So now we'll just right click this. And we can now go and build our structure. I think for now we're going to build it in this room. We'll go ahead and drop our lava buckets inside. And now if we right click, this should show that we only have one more block to place, which is in fact true. We now have a completed cinder hearth structure. And before I get too further carried away, it is indeed nighttime. Let's see if we can't see a shooting star. It appears both me and Ryan are looking for one at the same time. Oh, I guess no shooting star for us tonight, as the sun is now rising. So, what we're gonna do is build this explorer's compass. Should in fact complete a quest in here. And wow, this thing just gives us all sorts of different structures that we can come across. And I think what we're gonna go for first is maybe just one of these pedestal ruins. And we'll dig straight down, which could be deadly, but I should have enough hearths to withstand the impact. Should. We're getting dangerously low. I sure hope we come across the ruin any minute now. I have a feeling we're gonna hit bedrock. Yep. Well, we do need some of this, so I'm glad we are on the search for a ruin. And we'll just keep working our way up and see if maybe we can run right into this thing. Starting to think this compass lied to me. So I've actually got a different idea. I've went ahead and made a scanner and installed a few modules, including the block and 2 ranges. We right click this on a storage unit for modern industrialization. It'll recharge the scanner. And what we can do is shift right click this, take out the block module, code it for the preservation stone, reinstall it, and go back to our single hole that we dug down where there was an alleged ruin at. See if we can actually scan the surrounding area and fully find it this time. And it appears that there is not one nearby. That is just horrible news. So I went to a different spot, marked in the compass as ancient ruins, and okay. It appears we've finally found ourselves another one. Now I think we just need to right click. Well, it has been just a little while later. And not only did we not come across the correct ruin we needed to, but I've also run into another problem. Can you spot it? If you remember what this setup here was for? Yeah, we've run out of salt, so I had to come up with a kind of backup solution for chlorine. It's kind of a fake. I shouldn't have any in there if I'm out of salt, but I've already implemented said backup solution. And I'd like to show you what I've been up to. So just kind of strolling along our path up here, up top, you'll notice I've kind of added a new little section here. It does kind of cut right through that little mound, but I'd like to welcome you to our new oil drilling rig. And this one here is specifically going to be used for salt water. I've got that salt water being sent directly here into a distillery, which distills it down into brine. The fluid, not the person. And that brine gets automatically sent down into the electrolyzer, which electrolyzes it into chlorine, hydrogen, sodium hydroxide, and lithium. Now I do have these two fluids being trashed, as I don't really have a huge need for them at the moment, but we do have a lithium tank now set up, as well as the chlorine being sent down into our tank down below. I might change the way this looks here in the future, but for now I kind of like the outside kind of basic look here. I've got some solar panels that I made with our new stainless steel, and that is what's supplying this power for everything to operate above ground. And we were kind of bottlenecked here with the way that I had these entangled tanks coded, but I think I might have just found at least a temporary solution. That way we'll continue to get chromium processing. Now onto the bigger project on our hands. This here that you can see in front of you is our new annealed copper and what I am planning to be digital circuit setup. Now I've finished building these EBFs here that have their own dedicated macerator to macerate copper ingots down into dust, since everything is being smelted up above. And I wanted to show you real quick, though I have every single hatch put in, this does get a lot of people when they start moving to different coil tiers, but you have to come into the controller and select your different coil tier in order for it to be recognized. Now one area I did fail to account for is, in order to get annealed copper hot ingots, you do need to supply the EBFs with a source of oxygen. And we'll just need to match the color code for this oxygen entangled tank here. Looks like 4 light blue runes should do us. And we should see that automatically fill up. Now we just need to go set it up. We'll plop him down here, our fluid input hatches on either side, and grab some pipes to complete this setup. And as we can hear the macerator start up, that should be a good sign that the EBFs are now processing annealed hot copper. Now all of that should get automatically sent over here into our vacuum freezers. I just have this little platform set up to get up above so that we can grab our first couple hot ingots and throw them into the drawer to lock it. You can see the quest complete up in the top corner. And now we just need to see them actually arrive. Another quest completed. We throw this into our drawer. We should see another one come in, as maybe not enough is being made at once to populate both vacuum freezers. Did I leave something out? There we go, now we have both working. Just kinda has to work up to a good demand first. So we can go ahead and patch our hole in the ceiling. And now we can move on to the digital circuit setup. I decided to set the digital circuits up directly across from the analog circuits just to kind of keep some uniformity, and I am just working my way through the list of components and getting them installed into here. Next up is going to be the NOT gate, so we'll just control click, should automatically lock everything, and then I just set the amounts. And once the amounts are set, I just go around to the back side here and toggle over our item pipe, and it should fire up that assembler, and we'll see the task completed check mark off in the corner here any moment. There it is. Actually, that even gave us quest completed for some reason. Oh, I guess we already had some from a quest reward previously. We still need to set that one up, so man, that little trick just saves so much time, it's unreal. And though it is extremely loud in here now, we do have digital circuits starting to come in. We're just going to set up a little barrel here for them. Don't forget to add the downgrade, otherwise we'll have probably thousands of digital circuits and no resources. And we are happily on our way to the turbo machine hall. And last but not least, we have our turbo machine holes. Now I know you didn't quite get to see it, but we did just get our first 4 turbo machine holes, and I have both the sodium batteries and those holes being produced in the same assembler, and eventually I'll put these turbo holes right up here in this drawer. But for now, we do not need them in bulk, so we're only going to keep 4 at a time. Now that should have unlocked the digital age. Let's go ahead and claim this quest. And into the digital age we go. Look at all of this there is to dive into. This is going to get real fun real quick. Like they state, the factory must grow. And well, I think that's going to do us for today. We've done quite a lot of work around here, and we now have titanium processing as well. And I think that's just a very good point to leave off and get prepped for next episode. I'd like to thank you guys for watching and hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys in the next one, episode 6 of Statech Industries. Bye now.